Okay, so before I continue with more theory, I think what will be really good is to understand what kind of questions can come up from the exam. So I have compiled the last 2 years exam question for you guys, and it looks something like this. The first question, A. What are the important features of transformational change undertaken by Lars Collins? Lars Collins is the CEO. Okay. Second, explain the change process that were employed, and are they fundamental to undertaking organizational transformation? Okay, so these are the first two questions. Now let's take a look at 2016. How was the first two questions being asked? How was the hire company turnaround process managed? Again, it's asking you to describe the change. And that's 10 points. Okay? So describing the change is not as simple as it's describing the change, as I say, right? You need to have elevated learning. Okay, let's bear that in mind. Second question. What are the principles behind the success of hire a company? Discuss. What are the principles of success? That means why the change is successful. In other words, why the change is successful. Okay. If you look at the second question of 2015, it says, it's kind of similar to the B here actually. The 1B here. You see that? Explain the change process that were employed and are they fundamental to undertaking organizational transformation. In other words, why the change? It's a different way of asking why the change and why is it important. Okay. Second question, 2015, it says, A. What are the assumed benefits and risks of the spaghetti organization? So in the case study, right, the way they change the organization is to implement a spaghetti organization. That means not a matrix organization, but a spaghetti. Anyhow, crisscross, no structure, completely messy structure. Right, the change. So we say, what are the benefits and risks? I mean, what are the advantages and disadvantages? That's what it means. Okay? B. Does the spaghetti organization lead to acquiring competency in managing continuous change? Does the spaghetti organization lead to acquiring competence in managing continuous change? Acquiring competence in managing continuous change. This one, when you see this, it shows elements of learning organization. So you need to know that, this must have something to say about learning organization. You need to bring in learning organization to this thing when you answer this question. Because learning organization says what? Employee learn to build capability, build new competence, right? To adapt to ongoing changes, right? And so this is along that line, okay? So you're going to make sure you bring in the learning organization theory. This one, what are the principles behind the success of hire? Oh, we discussed that already. Okay, so let's take a look at the third question. What do you believe to be the potential pitfalls of hire's performance management system? And what impact would this have on future changes? Is it similar? It's asking you the pitfalls, but it didn't ask you for the advantages. It asked you for the disadvantages. or it asks you for the risk, right? So similar kind of thing. Asks you for the advantages, disadvantages, strength or pitfalls, things like that. And then, what impact will this have for the future changes? In other words, it's about the future continuous change. How can this help? Maybe, or how can this influence in a negative way? Something like that. Okay. Next question. Is higher performance management system sustainable? See that keyword? Sustainable coming up? Okay? Is it sustainable? It's not asking you how to sustain, but it's asking you, is this sustainable? So it's a different way. So you need to answer in a different way. Don't just say, it's sustainable because according to Burke-Litwin theory, he did refreeze, all that, and don't just say like that. You need to be able to say, I think the system, the performance management system implemented by Higher is sustainable for the following reasons. Number one, they have done this. They have make sure that the employees are measured based on the highly productive performance criteria that they have set for in the time to come, right? And they are continuing that, so that will sustain the company to be in a competitive position. Okay. And some more, you have to give more reasons, right? List down, right? And this is in line with the refreeze phase of Burke-Litwin's model. And then this one show elevated learning. Okay. Or you can say that I think higher performance management system is not sustainable for the following reason. Right? Number one, right? There were many signs that employees were dissatisfied with the systems. For example, you want to show an example. For example, there were many employees who were really not able to perform up to the mark, and they were retrenched as a consequence of that. And even for employees who are staying back and work and try to comply with the performance management system, they were really not motivated. They were, as quoted by this employee, saying, well, I'm doing this just because the system is like this, but if I have a better choice, I will definitely leave the company and find a better job. If you have evidence in the case that goes like this, then you can say this. If you don't have evidence, then don't say. Don't say no. So everything that you say here needs to be based on evidence in the case, right? And then supplemented with theory. That has to be how you answer. Get the idea? Right? Then, if you look at 2015, the questions says what? Question 4. It didn't have question 4 because it's only 3 questions, but you see you've got A, B. So the third question says what? What management practices or actions will be required to sustain the revolutionary new culture? Again, it's sustain. See that? How to sustain, how to sustain. So it asks you for specifics. Now when you say how to sustain, it could mean that this one, the fact cannot be found in the text itself. In the case studies, you have to think based on the theory or model you have studied. You need to list down what are the possible things, right, that you can do. So you have to have specifics, not just high level, refreeze, that's it, finish. You got to have specifics, like for example, introduce the right performance measure that allow people to work flexibly and based on productivity, or that kind of stuff. You have to really have specifics. That's important. Okay? If no specific, cannot get score. Okay. Were this year's question similar? I don't know.
Don't know.
Yeah, but I suspect it will be similar pattern. A few things will definitely come out. Describe the features, right? Kind of thing. Describe the change. Why the change? Do you think is for valid reason? Do you have recommendation how it can be better? Now, when they say why, it may even ask you for recommendation, or maybe he'll ask you what are the strengths and weaknesses. Things like these are there. Typically, I think it's that you need to be able to describe the thing in that way, right? Be able to criticize. In other words, she's asking you for critical thinking. She needs critical thinking from you. So don't be shy to say your view, okay? It's okay to say it, but make sure your view is supported by facts in the case itself. That's important. And then supplement your view with theory. Okay? That will be important.